It's so great to be back on campus, to walk around and to see a place that I have so many fond memories of, and just to remember the experiences I had here and learn from. I'm currently the City of Newark's Climate Action Coordinator. I actually was able to do our first greenhouse gas inventory and be able to figure out where our emissions are coming from and be able to identify which policies need to be instituted or corrected for us to meet our emission goals. Grew up in South Jersey, and I found out about Franklin Pierce. You know, I didn't know if I was going to go be an art student, go to school for politics, or go to school for business. And at the time, they had this program that was actually like both art and business. And I ended up deciding to come to Franklin Pierce, and it was everything I was hoping for. You know, I got to go to school and look at Mount Monadnock every single day, and being in a natural environment gave me the ability to just kind of like focus on school. But subsequently, I found out once you come up here, you're not that far away from everything. I didn't know this then, but going to a school that was a liberal arts college, you know, has really prepared me for a workforce environment that is constantly changing. Going to a liberal arts school where you have these opportunities to learn about, you know, the classics and to do all this kind of stuff that, you know, I didn't necessarily know at the time that I was actually interested in. Those are the things that provided me the skills to assess which direction things are going and how do I adapt. You know, if you're just focused on the one thing and you're good at the one thing, you know, and things change, you're in a bad situation. And at the time they had this, the core curriculum was called Individual and Community, and it really kind of helped you sit down and emphasize, like, how do you see yourself as an individual within a community? I know it's all in the title. And looking back 10 years later, I was like, I want to study what I want to study. I want to study my business classes. And it's like the core curriculum, individual and community, is where I've actually found most of my success. The ability for me to know what I want and know what I like, or know what's right, know what's wrong. That's the individual part. And then the community part is like, how do you share that? How do you answer that demand of your community and meet those needs? One of the things I got involved in when I was here was the Fitzwater Center in this program called the First Nation Scholars, where we traveled between Iowa and New Hampshire for 2 years studying the presidential primary. At Franklin Pierce, I had the opportunity to start saying, instead of just going to an event, let me start putting them on, working with other student groups. It was all those little interactions that I feel, you know, really built that stronger sense of community. So I found that I could build a lot of connections on campus, but also outside of campus. You know, go out to community events. You have the McDowell Colony, which is just down the street. The Park Theater, which I remember when we were just having little tiny meetings talking about this idea, and, you know, 10 years later, I can go down to Jaffrey and go see a movie there right now. I've been doing that kind of work mostly ever since I left Pierce in New Hampshire when I first graduated and still lived in the area. Then I moved to Trenton, New Jersey, where I was involved in a lot of arts activities there. And then now I'm in Newark, and we do this thing called Love Your Block, where community members, they identify the needs of their neighborhood, their block, or their interests, and we help support the funding of them doing it. And so my education and the activities that I was involved in at Franklin Pierce really helped me understand how I see myself and how I can serve the community, and that's made me the public servant I am today. My name's Jonathan Gordon, and I'm a graduate of Franklin Pierce University.